It says I'm live. Whoops. Messed up my screen, Claire. It says I'm live. Hi, everybody, and welcome to Crystal Masters. I can kind of see myself, Claire, so I think I'm probably okay. I have a little tiny screen, but hopefully you guys can see me. Can you see me? Karen Brown sees me, so I'm real. Welcome to Crystal Masters, session 2 of Soul Shift for February. I'm so excited to see you. Truly excited, because what I'm teaching you tonight, I've never taught before. Not in this way. So you're going to have a little bit of time with me like this, where I'm here at the desk and I'm teaching you and showing you some things this way. And then you're going to have half of the class where I'm over here at the massage table. We have a second camera set up because I'm going to be doing some live crystal healing with you tonight. How are you? It's so great to see you guys. I'm so happy to see you. So welcome. Is anybody new? Is this anybody's first Crystal Masters class? Would love to know so I can welcome you. This class is turning out to be a lot of fun, and my goal, I will tell you, is to balance fun with wisdom so that you really feel like you learn a lot in each session. And like I said, tonight is brand new. At least no one in my community has ever heard me talk about these things tonight in this way. So anyway, those of you who are new, I want to welcome you and tell you that we are so glad you are here. Super, super glad. Look at that. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So great to see you. So it's Stephanie's first one live. It's Debbie's first one live. And I am feeling so much better. Thanks, you guys. My voice is back. I'm feeling rested and well and ready for you. Look at that. A lot of new ones. So welcome, welcome. Tonight's focus, as you know, is on single and double terminated wands. I think Brooklyn didn't bring my second one over for me. Can you guys grab? There's actually 2 of those wands sitting over there, and I need one to show them. I have your tool, which is what you purchased. Those of you who got your tools. The tools for Crystal Masters are always optional, by the way. You don't have to have them. And some of you have your own double or single terminated wands that you're going to be working with tonight. But this was your Crystal Masters tool for February. And I want to teach you that the symbol on this wand, because these were custom made for us for you, this is a rose quartz double terminated wand. And the symbol on it is one of the symbols from the system of symbols that I downloaded during ayahuasca ceremony in 2019 called the Angelophos, which means the light of angels. And this is the love symbol. So, and I thought it was appropriate. It's the stone of love. And I thought even if you're not in Soul Shift, maybe you would like to work with the energy of the symbol. And I'll show you tonight how I actually work with the symbol on the body. Because it's very much a system of symbols like the Usui Reiki system. And so these are energetic symbols. They activate energy when you work with them. And so I'll be showing you tonight how you can work with the symbol as well as the tool. If you have any single or double terminated wands in your collection, you might have fun getting them out tonight and just having them with you, since I'm going to be teaching you about them, showing you how to work with them. Certainly a natural point crystal can be considered a wand. One of my favorite wands to work with is this. And this is a natural double terminated Lemurian crystal from Tucson, actually. This was years ago now. This is one of the only naturally double terminated Lemurian crystals I've ever seen. And it came from my favorite person from Brazil. So this has not been polished or touched. This was attached to the mother cluster right here, and then was detached. And so this is a wand. You know, nature makes her own sacred tools. So even though this is polished, right? So this isn't a naturally double terminated rose quartz crystal. This has been polished for you. These tools work in the same way. And I would suggest to you that they work equally well. You don't have to have a natural crystal to work with as a tool, but you can work with a natural single terminated crystal, which I don't have any here to show you, but you know, a regular quartz point is a single terminated crystal or a double terminated crystal, and it does not have to be man-made and doesn't have to be nature-made either. They work the same way, and they both channel energy the same way. And so whatever you have, I want you to get excited about your tools. And I believe that some of you are asking about psychic surgery. I believe extraction is next month, isn't it, guys, for Crystal Masters? Yeah, so March is when I'm going to be teaching you psychic surgery and energetic extraction, how to remove energy from the body. Tonight, I'm going to be teaching you how energy moves in the body. And then next month, Crystal Masters, the whole focus is going to be on psychic surgery and energetic removal. And so we're really, next month is almost like a double click of tonight. So if you like tonight, I think you're going to find next month is almost like the advanced session of this month. Does that make sense? So tonight is about teaching you how energy moves. And one of the reasons tonight is so significant, I've been teaching online classes, metaphysical classes for almost 9 years now. And I've been working with energy systems since I was in high school. And so I've had a lifelong fascination with energy and how it moves. I've also had pretty significant health challenges in my own life and had family members with pretty significant health challenges too. And I have been able to work with tools like we're going to be talking about tonight to move energy and to heal myself and them. And so when I tell you that I really believe in what we're doing tonight, I'm telling you that not just as a practitioner, but as a recipient of this work. I really don't believe that I would be even sitting here teaching you tonight if I didn't practice what I'm going to be showing you. And so tonight's partly about learning, do you know what I mean? And you're in the classroom and you're watching me do these things, but I want you to play an experiment too, because the more you can begin to do this work in your own life, experiment with family and friends and clients if you're already a practitioner. You know, the whole reason that you're here is to become a crystal healer at the end of the year and get your certificate. And so when you are working with clients, I want you to have just a wealth of tools, techniques, and also knowledge behind those tools and techniques. How and why does this work? And so tonight we're going to be talking about Chinese medicine. We're going to be talking about the Rig Veda and the oldest spiritual texts on the planet, which really are the basis of modern yoga practice. And so everything that I'm teaching you tonight has its roots in these ancient traditions. And so this isn't woo-woo, airy-fairy. If you have acupuncture done, then you're working with the meridians and the flow of energy in your body already, and you understand probably how some of this works. But even if you have no experience with any of those modalities, you don't need to. I'm kind of starting at a really basic level tonight, and then like I said, next month will be kind of the double click on tonight to give you even more wisdom and insight. Yeah, so Charguth01 is asking, did you get tools? So every month there are tools for Crystal Masters. They're optional, but this month's tools was a double terminated wand because that's what we're focusing on tonight. And then next month's tool is an extractor needle because that's what we're going to be working on next month. So every month there's a tool for $20 if you want it, but it's optional and you don't have to. And a lot of people in the community have tools that they want to work with that they already have in their collection, and you're always welcome just to work with what you have. I will tell you we have a lot of different things at sagegoddess.com that I'm going to be showing you tonight. And as a gift to you, and you have to promise not to share this because no one else is getting this, we are doing a one-time 20% off coupon for you, meaning you can use it one time at sagegoddess.com if you want to gather any of the tools that we have for you based on what I'm teaching tonight. So your code, just so you know, don't go do that now. You can shop later. You have until midnight tomorrow night to use the code, is Crystal Masters. And that will save you 20% off of anything on sagegoddess.com that you choose, whether it's tools from tonight's class or anything else that you would like. But don't leave yet. Everything will be there when we're done, but I will share you some of the things, or share with you some of the things that you might want to have if you're looking to add to your collection. We have some interesting things for you, some things from Tucson as well. You're so welcome, but don't share that code. That is only for Crystal Masters. I don't want people in the general public to be using it, so that is just for you and just as a special gift. Okay. So I'm going to find my bell and ring it. Do I have a bell? There's my bell. I always ring the bell at the beginning of class. So session 2 has begun, and I'm so glad that you're here. Thanks, you guys. I know it's like, shh. Well, you know people would love to have that code, but it is just for you, and it's special for you. Okay. I want to make sure that you saw this, which is in your classroom. I created a Crystal Healer intake sheet for you. And this is something that when I work on my client tonight, who's actually a member of my team, Patty, who's volunteered to be our patient this evening, our client this evening, I'm going to be asking her these questions. And this is a really great way to get to know your client before your session begins. Some crystal healers like to email this to a client before they see them and have the client bring the sheet already completed to their session. You can also do what I'm doing tonight and just ask the questions of the client when they arrive, but it'll give you a bearing on where they're coming from, what their what you call in medicine the chief complaint, what their primary concern is, why they're coming to see you. And then it'll also help you understand what they're looking to receive from your session, or what their goal for the connection with you is and what they're looking for. And so this is, we put this in your Facebook group, but it's also in your sagegoddess.com classroom. And so if you haven't had a chance to see it yet, make sure that you see your written materials. It's in the same place where the team puts the notes. And so you do not have to complete this. This is less for you as a client and more for you as a practitioner. So that as you go out in the world and start to do crystal healing with the things that you're learning here, that you have kind of a technique and a protocol, a way to begin to work with clients that's more formal. So I thought you might enjoy that. Rhonda's like, I'm blocked in all of the things. But tonight's going to really help you. It's really, really, really going to help you, I promise you. So the number one thing that my students have asked me to teach them for literally the last 8 to 9 years is this. How do I learn how to open my channel, my energy channel, so that I don't get so overwhelmed, so that I can move some of these blockages, release this pain, this, stiffness, whatever, so that I can feel better and feel like I'm in the flow. How do I do that? It's such a nice thing to think about, right? Like getting into the flow and releasing blockages. Tonight is the how. So if you've been sitting with that question for all these years of like, I get it, I need to open the channel, I need to run energy more efficiently, I need to, but how do I do that? By the end of our time together tonight, my goal and my intention is that you are going to know how to do that. And you're gonna have some really specific tools and practices that you can use. The best thing about tonight is, even if you don't wanna be a crystal healer, even if you're just here to learn how to work with your crystals more intentionally and improve your practice, everything I'm gonna teach you tonight you can do on your own, on yourself. I do everything I'm teaching you tonight on myself at least 2 or 3 times a week, and it does not take long. I mean, by the time we're done tonight, I'm hoping that you'll have a little way of doing even just a simple 2 or 3 minute movement of energy in your field, and I promise you over time that's going to make a huge difference. I was sharing that I had a calcium buildup in my shoulder that was causing some problems, and what I'm teaching you tonight is how I've moved it. I now have almost full movement in my shoulder after not being able to move it for over a year. And so when I tell you that tonight is not just my passion, it's really how I live my life and how I improve my health, it's really, really true. This will also help with weight loss, because again, weight gain is often the result of energy blockages. You get clogged pipes, and at some point you got to clear the pipes. And there's a lot of different ways to clear your pipes. And some people use plant medicine to clear their pipes, and that's a very effective way too. They'll go and do shamanic journey, or they'll work with, a plant medicine like ayahuasca or San Pedro or another kind of plant teacher, and those are very effective ways of clearing the pipes. But some people can't do that, some people don't want to do that, and so there have to be alternative methods and modalities. One thing I want to tell you too is you can, if you have no crystals at all, like not even a point, you can use your finger to do what I'm teaching you tonight. But the reason the crystals are a more powerful tool than your finger, remember that your hands are electromagnetic, right? Your hands are very powerful. I hope that you learn tonight how incredibly powerful your hands are. You are constantly moving energy. It's one of the reasons that you have to smudge your hands every single day. In fact, I'm going to smudge right now because I've been moving a lot of energy today. You have to smudge your hands. Think about what your hands do energetically all day, every day. You're moving energy, you're touching, you're feeling, you're sensing, you're eating, you're loving, right? And so your hands, your feet, and the top of your head are your primary physical energetic receptors. That's where you're taking in most of the data, most of the information that's coming your way is through your hands, especially the palms of your hands. So it's really important to smudge the palms of your hands every single day. Wait for the smoke to come through your fingers. That's how you'll know you've really gotten them clear. And you can do it with me right now. It feels really, really good. Now, if you're just joining us, you're not late at all. You're good. You're right on time. The soles of your feet. My feet are always dirty. I'll just tell you that, because I don't like shoes. But the reason I don't like shoes is I need to be grounded all the time, given what I do. A lot of people work with crystals as a hobby. I do it for a living, and so that's important. And then I'm constantly bringing that smoke up over the top of my head to sort of clear that channel too. And that's good enough. Someone in the feed mentioned salt baths. Salt baths are another great way of cleansing and purifying your, what we call the PEF, the personal energetic field. And so I take a salt bath every day too. It's absolutely critical for me, for my practice. I can really notice a difference if I take a salt bath or I don't. And you can use basic Epsom salt. You know, we have all kinds of fancy bath salt blends, but you don't need all that. You can just use basic Epsom salt, which is magnesium, which is also really good for soothing sore muscles and aches and pains of all kinds. So that's really helpful too. Did you know, interesting little side fact, and maybe you did know this, some of you probably do know this, that when they developed soles for shoes, which is really in the first part of the 20th century, in the 1930s, 40s, 50s is when they really started to develop these rubber soles for shoes. Do you know that that was a parallel moment to the rise of cases of depression and prescriptions for antidepressants? And there's a connection there. I mean, to me, it's undeniable. The farther you are away from earth and earthing and grounding and feeling connected to nature, the more sad and despondent you're likely to feel. And sometimes I think about the fact that there are people who go months without ever having their bare feet touching this planet. You know, they get up, they put their shoes on, they go to work, they come home, they take their shoes off, but they're, you know, in their home. And then they get up the next day and do the same thing. And they can go years without ever making that contact, right? And so, you know, if you have to wear shoes, do something that's nice and natural. Maybe let your toes out of jail once in a while, you know. I know some of you live in colder climates and it's hard to do that. Although I have worn flip-flops in the snow and I will do it again. It is really true. Yeah, Candace is mentioning the earthing documentary on YouTube. It's absolutely fantastic and it makes so much sense. And if you have little ones, they need earthing time too. This is a lot of what I'm teaching you tonight, you know, in subtle ways. You can share with the little ones in your life, and whether that's children or godchildren or neighbors or nieces and nephews, you know, it's part of what I see as my really sacred responsibility is not just to teach you guys, but to make sure that we're also teaching the next generation so a lot of this doesn't get lost. And my hope is that they, because I think they're wiser even than we are, and they certainly have access to more information than we did right at their age, will take all of this to the next level. You know what I mean? I think they will. Oh, I love that. Elisa was saying she's going to make an earthing mat. I will be first in line to buy your earthing mat. And what I tell people is if you can't go out during the winter, have some soil inside, literally somewhere that you can put your hands in, some potting mix or something that just, again, just connects you with earth. Have lots of plants around, you know, and connect with your plants. It's however you can do it to maintain your constant contact with nature is really important. Okay, so let's begin at the beginning. So tonight is about human energetics. And the main thing that I want to say to start our work tonight is, you know, everything is energy. And that may seem so simple and so obvious to you, but I think sometimes we forget it. Everything is energy. Your energy, I'm energy. Your crystals are vibrating with their own energy, their own unique fingerprint or signature. And each one of your crystals calibrates to a different frequency. And that's based on a lot of different things. It's based on the crystal structure, which we'll get into more as we move through the rest of this year. It's based partly on the locality where the crystals grow and are mined, because each continent on our planet has different vortex points and ley lines that connect those places and spaces, and they each have a frequency. In fact, the planet has its own chakra points, which I've taught to my Soul Shift students a couple of times. And so our planet is energetic, and it's a matrix. And so the main thing for tonight to make sense, the main thing you need to know, and this is kind of for what a lot of people say is kind of groundbreaking for them. They recognize that our Earth has these ley lines and these vortex points and a matrix. It's almost like an overlay of sacred geometry that connects all of the sacred places on earth to each other. What people don't realize is that you also have ley lines and vortex points within you. And your energy field is enmeshed, connected to the energy field of the planet. There is no separation. And so that's really how and why crystals work. Crystals come from these sacred vortex points, and they're already connected to all those frequencies and all of those energies. And so when you bring those crystals into your energy field, it strengthens the vibration and it helps to connect your own ley lines, what we call the meridians. And we'll talk more about that in just a minute. The crystals help to connect your ley lines to the planet's ley lines. And that is the secret to it all. And so when people ask, so how do crystals really work? That's how they work. They're tuning the biofield, and they're connecting your individual energetic lines to the energetic lines of the planet. In a way, your crystals are helping you plug in. And that's one of the most important functions that they serve. And it's the reason, honestly, that I think we're all attracted to them. On some level, we all want to strengthen our connection to our planet and to each other. It's a fundamental human drive to connect. It's not natural to want to recede or to separate. And in fact, separation is one of the sources of depression, when we feel like we're not connected to other people and we don't matter and we're not understood. That's when we feel sad. But when we feel plugged in and connected and dialed in and we feel that flow of energy, that's when we feel happy and optimistic and positive. And so tonight's all about helping you come back to this concept of plugging in. I want you to think about that tonight as sort of a metaphor for the work that we're doing. Energy runs through your body, and there's different names for this energy depending on what tradition you come from. You'll hear people call it the prana, the life force, ki or chi. You've probably heard of qigong, which is the study and the exercise of the flow of energy. And I want you to think about it almost like data runs through the internet. Okay, it's constantly running. You don't have to tell it to run. You don't have to make it run. Energy is already running all the time. But some people's systems are closed and blocked. And that's why you see people. And I want to share, when I tell you things tonight, there's no judgment here. It's not like, oh, she's got blocked energy, or oh, he, whatever. There are a lot of reasons that energy gets blocked. Trauma creates blockages, and the reason that trauma creates a blockage is when something happens to you that's traumatic, what most of us do is we do something called contract. And when you contract, and have you ever had that happen? Somebody says something mean to you, or you get your feelings hurt, or somebody physically touches you. Have you ever felt that, like, you almost contract in your solar plexus? And that literally creates an energetic blockage. Now, if you continually contract every day or every month or every year in that same thing, the same argument, the same relationship, the same wound, the same parent, the same pain, eventually that minor contraction becomes a full contraction and can ultimately be the root of disease. So that's why you see some people, it's like they go through their whole life and it's always one illness after another. Do you know anybody like that? I know people like that in my life. They'll catch a cold, and then when they're done with their cold, all of a sudden now they've got arthritis, and then now they've got this, and you turn around and she had this, and it literally seems like some people just accumulate these blockages. But what happens is contractions almost beget contractions, and if you don't simultaneously become aware of how contractions happen and how to avoid them, and also how energy flows and how to improve that flow, you can end up in a cycle. It's really, really true. The reverse is also true. I have friends who very rarely get sick or ill, and they're usually in a pretty optimistic and positive mood. And things seem to go the way they want. They seem to be in the right place at the right time, and they don't suffer from a lot of pain. They're not really struggling. And those are people who have learned how energy flows, how to strengthen that flow, and how to heal contractions, so that their body doesn't build those contractions over time and ultimately immobilize them with illness. It's a great question. Andrea asked, can closing yourself off to your gifts cause a contraction that will eventually cause a blockage? I don't know if closing yourself off to your gifts per se can do that. But I will tell you, if you have a gift that you're meant to share with people, whether it's a psychic gift or a healing gift or a teaching gift or an intellectual gift, the universe, if the universe wants you to share that with people, is going to keep coming around to you and coming around to you and coming around to you and knocking on your door. And every time that knock is going to get a little bit louder. Now, I do think over time, if you aren't living in alignment with your purpose and living authentically, that can create its own set of contractions. And for a lot of people, what that ends up looking like emotionally is resentment. Have you seen that happen too? I've seen plenty of people, some even in my family, where, you know, it's like they didn't follow their bliss. They didn't listen to that little voice inside that was telling them to do A, B, and C. They went a different way. And that can lead to resentment and sadness, and then ultimately that can lead to other problems too. But what tends to cause a lot of the physical challenges that we face is trauma. And what I want to share with you tonight is trauma looks like a lot of different things. Trauma doesn't have to be a big, overwhelming physical wound or even an emotional wound. There are little micro traumas that happen to us all the time. You know, it's the little thing that person says, or it's being ignored by someone you love, or having someone make fun of something that is really important to you. You know, and it's just, do you know what I'm talking about? It's like the little tiny micro, but if there's enough of them over time, that can create a contraction. And one thing that I have found that's tricky about all of this, to be honest with you, is it's not like you can identify always where the contraction sits. Right? It's not like you can say, well, my right shoulder hurts, so that must mean I contracted around a trauma related to my dad. Do you know what I mean? It isn't linear like that. And where your trauma goes and sits in your body can be different from where mine would, or your neighbor would, or your parents would. Sometimes it's triggered by genetics, and sometimes it's triggered by what I call metagenetics, which is your spiritual DNA, your spiritual journey, right? So, but the main thing to know is pain is always blocked energy. I mean, that is, and most of my medical doctor friends, and I have quite a few, are in agreement there, you know? And that, again, if you go into Chinese medicine, they'll tell you the same thing, which is the whole point of acupuncture, right? Is to reorient the energy flow to move past and through those blockages and to open the energy. So what I'm going to be showing you tonight is really just crystal acupuncture. It's really just, instead of working with needles, we're working with crystals to create alternate pathways for energy to flow. And I hope that you're really going to enjoy the experience, right? I like that. And Hannah said, my shoulder, always shouldering responsibilities for others, right? That's very interesting. Well, and Ms. XLU asked a great question about neurological issues. You know, I was diagnosed with MS 10 years ago, and the central nervous system, I'm really glad you asked this, so let me teach you a little bit about this, because it was where I was going next anyway. Your body is one coherent system, and it is the most intelligent system you can imagine. I mean, when you really start to understand the energetics of your system and your personal energetic field, it will overwhelm you with its beauty, its intricacy. Your body is constantly seeking healing and comfort. It's constantly trying to get back to its ideal state, its ideal weight, its ideal health, its ideal size, all of those things. Your body is a naturally regulating system that seeks what we call homeostasis, which is getting you back to your highest and best. We as humans get in the way of that all the time. I happen to like Cheetos. That is not supportive of my body's optimal functioning. However, I like them, and when I'm stressed out, I like to eat Cheetos. So there's a thing, you know, we have to sort of also understand that a lot of the things that we do are not in service of the highest and best good. So I want you to hold that thought that your body is one intelligent system. And so energy flows through what we call the meridians. That is the set of channels or pathways through which energy flows in your body, okay? And every meridian in your body touches an organ. These are energy lines, and you're going to see me work with energy lines tonight when I have Patty on the table. I'm also going to show you, I can show you what, this is actually more of a diagram of the energetic field, but it gives you a little sense about how the meridians function as well. You don't need to worry about the text here. I more want you to see the image itself to represent. So this is, in my experience, a pretty accurate representation of how it looks for energy to move through your body. Can you guys see that pretty clearly? So here's the human being, right? These lines are the meridian lines, and they flow through every part of your body, each line touching a major organ. Then you have the masculine lines of energy, what they call the nadis, N-A-D-I, coming out of the Rig Veda, the oldest spiritual text on the planet. There's the masculine line, and there's the feminine line. When these are activated, these are also known as the Kundalini, right? And when these lines connect, does anybody know what the Caduceus symbol is? It's actually really interesting. The Caduceus symbol is really a representation of the central meridian, what's known as the Sushumna, in the Hindu tradition, which again comes from the Vedas. There's one central line that runs up your central column. It aligns with your spinal column. So I'm getting back to Ms. KXLU's question about the central nervous system, okay? You have one central line, which corresponds to your spinal column, but it's also known as the Sushumna in the Hindu tradition. And then there are these two lines, masculine and feminine, that wrap around that central column. The caduceus, which is a representation of your central column with the Kundalini, is actually the symbol of modern medicine. Go to any medical office building in the United States and you're going to see that symbol because the ancient Greeks adopted it as the symbol of medicine. Isn't it fascinating? But that's where it comes from. Yeah, so just so you know, if you're new, my team takes notes for you and they will put this diagram in your classroom. So you just sit back and enjoy, have a cup of tea. You don't have to write anything down or memorize anything. This will all be ready for you. Okay, so I really wanted to share that with you because it's such a magical symbol, and when you see it, I really want you to know and understand the origins of it. Now, what I want you to see beyond the meridian lines in the body and the Caduceus symbol with the Kundalini and the central column, what I really want you to see is what's going on outside here, okay? Remember I just told you about the soles of your feet and the palms of your hand and the top of your head. Do you remember I told you that? If you ever do intense shamanic journey work or breath work, at a certain point in your journey, your hands will lock up, the soles of your feet will get really hot and tight, and the top of your head will feel like it's shaking. And that's because all that energy is pulsing through. They call it lobster hands, actually. A lot of people who do breath work are like, I don't want to get the lobster hands. But it happens, okay? And it's because that's where energy is flowing from. This flow of energy is sacred geometry. It's known as the tube torus. T-U-B-E-T-O-R-U-S. It's actually a 3D donut, okay? The flow of energy, known as the tube torus. And toroidal energy, which is this sort of circular flow of energy, surrounds everything in nature. It's surrounding your crystals, it surrounds you, it's surrounding plants and animals and trees and everything else, okay? And so this is your energy field. You're not just a human being with meridian lines. You are constantly sending and receiving through your hands, through your feet, through the top of your head. And then this central column is on the receiving side, right, of all of that energy. And if you think about it, crown chakra, third eye, throat, heart, solar plexus, sacral, and root. All 7 of what they call the corporeal chakras sit in that central column, that central meridian called the Sushumna. Okay, does that make sense? If you have any questions, just ask and I will stop and clarify. I'm trying to make something that's really complex as simple as I can for you to understand. But the visual of this is really important because this toroidal field, that is you. This is you. And people who have seen the soul leave the body at death, my mom is one of them. She had an experience with her sister when she passed away and actually saw her sister's spirit leave the body. And she described this toroidal field spinning in a Merkaba. And that aligns with what the ancient Egyptians believed, that the soul could travel in a spinning light spirit body, that Merkaba shape. And my mom perfectly described a toroidal field spinning inside of a Merkaba. At the end of the day, this is who you are. This is what you are. You're much more than a body. You are really just a fully vibrating field. And this whole you is interacting with me. It's interacting with your family. It's interacting with the planet. It's interacting with whatever toxins might be in the air that you breathe or the food that you consume. It's a constant flow of energy. Now, your body, as I was saying earlier, is this intricately, infinitely intelligent system. It has its own release mechanisms. It naturally knows how to detoxify. Your body only becomes ill when energy becomes stuck. So I want you to imagine all of a sudden something is stuck right here. Okay, let's just imagine. I don't have a way to draw that. I do actually. Well, I don't need to draw it. It gets stuck right here. Whatever reason, you got a contraction or right around here. It throws off the entire system, you guys. Okay, because it isn't just like it only blocks this part and now everything else can flow. There's an interconnectedness, an interweaving of all of the energies. And so one contraction throws off the entire system. And that's why the work that we're doing together tonight is so critically important. And that's why crystal healing, you know, I believe in my lifetime, just like we have Reiki practitioners in most of the major hospitals now in the United States, and it's taken pretty seriously. I really believe in my lifetime that we will have crystal healers in most of the major hospitals around the world in my lifetime, because crystals have their own electromagnetic frequency. And certain crystals, especially clearer quartz crystals, and quartz includes rose quartz, amethyst, aventurine, and clear quartz, smoky quartz. Those are all quartz-based, silicon dioxide-based materials. Quartz has a high frequency that can push past some of those blockages and clear them, especially if you know how to sweep the field. And I'm going to teach you how to sweep the field tonight. When we move energy from your feet to your head, and you'll see me work on Patty tonight to show you this. When we move energy from the feet to your head, we strengthen the flow of energy, okay? When we move energy from your head to your feet, we interrupt, we sort of release the flow of energy. And so if you want to feel stronger and healthier and happier and more vibrant, you want to sweep the field from the feet to the head. If you're trying to let go of pain, you actually want to sweep from the head to the feet, because that's a releasing mechanism. And then once the pain leaves the body, then we can sweep back up and strengthen the area. It's interesting, isn't it? So it isn't necessarily about more energy. It's about understanding what's happening in your body, and especially pain being a blockage, and how we can sort of reduce the flow of energy to that place for just a moment and clear the blockage, and then increase the flow of energy again, which will release the pain. And that's what I've been doing on my shoulder. I've been slowing the flow of energy to work on the blockage, and then slowly increasing the flow of energy to get the strength and the mobility back. Well, and so B. May is asking how to lose heartbreak pain. Here's the thing, and this is what's so beautiful about this, you guys. It doesn't matter whether it's your shoulder that hurts, or your heart that hurts, or your intestine that hurts. It doesn't matter whether it's physical, emotional, spiritual, mental. Anxiety functions the same way. Anxiety is blocked energy, if you think about it, right? When you're having an anxiety attack, are you in flow, or is everything shutting down? Everything's shutting down. And so when, I have my son sometimes will have anxiety, I will do exactly what we're talking about tonight. I will start to shut down the flow of energy there, work the contraction, and then speed the energy back up. But you can't, if you just put energy on top of blocked energy, you're not really addressing the blockage. And that's why you have to stop and do something to move the energy. Does that make sense? And that's where this little tool is all you need. And even if you have something smaller, I mean, this is a double terminated wand too. This is just as powerful as that. The size does not matter. It's the intention and the directionality of your tool that makes the difference. Really interesting, isn't it? Okay. Any questions about the diagram? Was that pretty? Did they have any questions about this? Is it pretty straightforward from your perspective, you guys?
No, they're good.
Are you following? Okay, good. I know it can get complicated, and I do my best to give you like technical information, but not to overwhelm you in any particular way. Yeah, for sure. So Sadhana is asking, can I utilize crystals for clearing blockages with EFT and tapping? So tapping is another modality to move energy. And here's what I want you to know. Crystal healing is just so synchronous with tapping, with Reiki. You know, these are what I call sympathetic modalities. They work so beautifully together. Crystal healing works so beautifully with aromatherapy. I actually made a blend that I have on the website for you. I'm gonna show you the blend and teach you about it in just a few minutes, called Sushumna. I made it just for tonight. There's 7 essential oils in it, 1 for each chakra, to help you move blockages through. And it's only for crystal masters, but there isn't even enough for everybody to have one, so you don't have to have it, but if you want it, it'll be there for you at the end of class. And so aromatherapy is so synchronous with crystal healing, because again, those essential oils are living plants. They're vibrational, and so they can attune the human energy field just like crystals can. And so please continue to work with your Reiki, with your symbols, with your aromatherapy, with your tapping, with all of these modalities. Network spinal analysis is another really powerful modality that just, you know, can be enhanced with crystals or used separately. Massage therapy and body work is another beautiful way of moving the energy through those meridian lines. So I love to see you work all the things. And I always tell people, you know, my doctor laughs at me because my neurologist always says, you know, you're so healthy, but I don't know what accounts for it, you know, because you do all these different things. But she's like, but honestly, who cares? I mean, something's working. So rather than having you stop everything and isolate it, like, let's just celebrate the fact that things are working, you know? So it's like, my perspective is, if you feel drawn to a modality, use it. Because something in your soul is leading you there, and your intuition is not going to lead you astray. Yoga, 1,000%, 10,000%. And these are all complementary sympathetic modalities. Ancient dancing, I love belly dancing, you know, whatever feels good to you is what you should keep doing. And then there was a question too in the feed about animals. Your animals respond beautifully to all of these modalities as well. The one thing I will tell you to be careful of with your animals are essential oils. Remember that your animal's sense of smell is so much more heightened than yours, and in my experience, essential oils can really overwhelm them. So just be gentle with your essential oils when it comes to working with them with your fur babies, because your fur babies are so much smarter energetically than you are, than I am. They're so much more attuned. Everything's more heightened with them. You know, if you could see the world through their eyes and through their senses, you'd be blown away. That's why they can tell when there's going to be a storm or an earthquake. They're constantly attuned, and so just be careful with essential oils with them. That's my only recommendation. Yeah, and they have little itty bitty livers, as Lynette said, to be able to process. That's really true. When cats purr on you and make biscuits on you, do your cats make biscuits? My cat is a big biscuit maker. Is it weird? I call it biscuits. They are moving energy through your meridians. And cats intuitively know how to, what I call following the line. And I'm going to show you follow the line on Patty tonight, because again, anywhere you have a contraction, it's on a meridian line. And in order to clear that contraction, you have to follow the line. I hope you guys are excited about this tonight. It's really, it's exciting for me. I hope you're enjoying it too. All right. Yeah, please.
Jen Bradshaw said, she asked if we're going to be learning how to discern whether energy needs to be strengthened or released.
That's a great question. So the question was whether we'll learn, whether you will learn if energy needs to be strengthened or released. Usually if it's a contraction, there's a releasing that needs to happen, okay? One of my teachers once called it the pop. You know, you got to get the pop. And the pop isn't a sound. It's you can feel when energy finally gets released. And so the best way to release energy is to also think about which crystals you're using. I like to work with obsidian when I'm releasing energy. I like to work with smoky quartz because it's a great stone for transmutation. One of my favorites. So some of you were asking about obsidian wands. The Aztecs, and I'll try, when I'm with Patty, try to remind me to mention this to you again. I've studied a lot of the Aztec healing techniques that they worked with, especially with regard to crystals, because the Aztecs worked almost exclusively with obsidian. And the Aztecs believed that obsidian was the purest form of fire element energy on the planet, which they saw as a natural source of transmutation, that it could burn through anything that was making you ill or tired or whatever. And so I love working with obsidian for releasing energy blockages. The Aztecs were focused on what they called the heart line. And so when the Aztecs would release energy, and I can show you some of those techniques too, like let's say they were releasing energy from the hand, they always moved, if they were releasing the energy, they moved the energy away from the heart. And if they were strengthening the energy, they would move the energy toward the heart, because they believed that the heart was the center of everything. Now, that's not untrue, right? The heart is the fourth chakra in your Sushumna. It's the central chakra. There's 3 above it, 3 below it in the body, right? And as an infant, as a fetus, your heart forms before your brain, which most of you know, right? And so I don't think the Aztecs are wrong. I think the heart is the center of everything. And so when they were clearing energy, they would try to be moving things away from the heart. And when they were strengthening the energy field, they would move the energy toward the heart. So if they were working on the legs, again, they would move up toward the heart. If they were working on the head, they would move down toward the heart, right? Everything was going toward the heart or away from the heart. Does that make sense? And one of the reasons I like to teach you about all of these different traditions and perspectives is they're all in one way or another anchored in the same wisdom. Like they're not conflicting. Do you know what I mean? Like when I tell you that the Aztecs believed in the heart line and that everything should be moved toward or away from it, you weren't like, oh, I don't know about that. I mean, that aligns with what we know about the chakras, that aligns with what we know about meridians, that aligns with also just our basic intuition. Okay, so coming back to this idea of the central nervous system for a moment. I could talk to you guys about this probably for about another 8 or 10 hours. And so it's really hard because I was a professor for a long time. So I'm trying not to digress too much, but I also want to make sure you're really grounded in some good information before I go and show you something practically on the table. Oh, dry brushing, by the way, Kimberly Hadding, love you for mentioning it. I do it every single day, mostly because it makes my skin soft and prevents cellulite. But dry brushing is another really beautiful way of moving energy through the body. I keep one in my shower. I have one in my drawer with my hair brushes so that I don't forget to do my dry brushing. And again, you can think about dry brushing away from the heart or toward the heart, depending on what you want to do. But it's really good for circulation, and ultimately circulation is about moving energy too. So I'm really glad that you asked that, because that's a great, great, great point. So Aurea, stay tuned, because we'll talk a lot more about which crystals in particular are supportive of releasing energy, especially next month when we talk about extraction, because next month is really about surgery. It's really about identifying where the contraction, where the blockage is, and going in with some measure of intention and focus and accuracy to remove the blockage. And that's what I'm going to teach you about opening portals and vortices so that you can have a place to dispose of your energy. So we'll also talk about portal protocol. So dry brushing, and you can find dry brushes on Amazon. They're super easy to find. We used to have them on sagegoddess.com, but it was like, why do we even have these? You can get them on Amazon. You can get them at Whole Foods. I think Trader Joe's even has dry brushes. They're just kind of a thick texture. Some of them are boar, but they have other kinds of bristles too. And what it does is it exfoliates your skin, but you use it dry instead of wet. And so some people, you have to get used to it, but it's actually really good for your skin. And if you have cellulite, it will completely remove your cellulite. But you got to do it every day, and you got to be pretty diligent about it. But it is so good for your skin. It will help with aging. It is so good for keeping your skin youthful. It helps with the elasticity of your arms and legs. You will love dry brushing. So go to YouTube after this and do your homework, and then go to Amazon and get a dry brush. Your butt's going to look better than it's ever looked in your life. Yeah, Body Shop, Target. I mean, literally, it's kind of a thing now. It used to be if you dry brush, people are like, what is that? Now it's like, oh, I dry brush. You can go up or down, Jill. I'm not going to take that to a naughty place. You do what you need to do, Jill. It's all the things. Okay. So back to where I was. The meridians are the channels through which energy flows. The chakras are the centers okay, where the meridians cross. So you have 7 chakras in your body. The crown is your crown chakra at the top of your head. By the way, if you ever want to learn more, and I'm honestly not trying to plug my book because most of you probably have it, but I did write The Ultimate Guide to Chakras a year and a half ago. And it is this is literally everything you'll ever want to know about the chakras, because I can't go into that much detail tonight, but if you want to become an expert in chakras, my book is a good place to begin. So the chakras are these discs of light that go from the top of your head to the base of your spine. And it's the crown, the third eye, the throat, the heart, the solar plexus, which is right above your belly button, and then your sacral chakra, which is between the ovaries and the testes, and then the root chakra, which is at the base of your spine. They're all held in what's called the Sushumna, or the central column, which is the primary meridian. It's also called the central nadi in Hindu practice. And then, as I showed you with that toroidal field, that tube torus, that 3D donut, that is what we call the personal energetic field. That's your aura. And so you have your chakras, and then you have your meridians, which are like the freeways, and then you have your broader energetic field that is constantly spinning and translating and transmitting information and data through the system. Okay. Now, a couple other things I want to share with you tonight, and then I want to talk briefly about the different kinds of crystals, and then we'll invite our friend Patty up to do a little work with me on the table. The number one thing I want to say about crystal healing in general, and especially about the work we're doing tonight, and part of it is kind of the ethics of crystal healing. It's really important to remember in all of these modalities that you are not the source of the healing that happens. Your clients may thank you. Your friends may say, oh, you're so amazing. I've never felt better. Oh my God, I love you. But on your best day, on my best day, I'm a really good channel for source energy, which is the source of the healing. There is a divine force in this universe. You can call it God or goddess or the I am, or however, the presence, or whatever resonates with your spiritual traditions. But it's really important for me to say that, because I think sometimes people, it would be easy for you to take it to an ego place of like, why, I just really got the gift. And it's like, if you do have a gift, and a lot of us do, it's the gift of being able to be a good, conduit, a good conductor of energy, which requires that you heal yourself, get your own, chakras open and your own meridians flowing. And using all of these tools, employing these tools, and developing these tools as allies to support you in this work. And over time, your tools will become really important to you, because like some of these tools I've had for years, and they really are. I mean, they are allies in my practice, things that I can't imagine doing crystal healing without. My pendulum is another example of that, right? This is a little smoky quartz wand that I have used on probably, at least 100 people, at least. I can't even count. But this little tool, which may not look like much to you, it's really nothing special, but it has done some major, massive work on myself and almost everyone I know that I've done physical work on. So your tools do develop a relationship with you. The most important tool that you have, other than your crystal tools, are your hands. As I said, always remember that your hands are electromagnetic. If you ever do plant work, plant ceremony with, whatever kind of plant work that you like to do, whether it's a DMT substance, which is very visual, or another kind of plant teacher, you may be, gifted enough to actually see how your hands work. If you could see how your hands operate, they're almost like little glue sticks, your fingers. Like you are constantly, every time you touch something, it shifts. The energy of what you touch shifts. You really do make a difference. Your energy touches something, and it's like the pattern shifts immediately, and it's always altered. You are so significant in that way. But at the same time, whatever power you have is not yours. It's coming through you from a higher power. Does that make sense? So I'm telling you this because all at once I want you to feel really empowered that you can do this, but I also want you to stay really humble, because it's through you but not of you. And the main reason that's important is if you start letting people drain off your personal energy, you will get sick doing this work. You know, if you don't open a portal before you start extracting energy, that's a very dangerous practice. And so part of what I want to make sure I'm teaching you to help you do this in a good, sustainable way is how to channel energy, but not from you personally. When I'm working on someone, they're not getting Athena's personal juice, right? They're getting source juice that I open a channel for, and that I hope is a good, clear channel for them to receive from. But it's really important to make sure that you're not calling that energy through your physical body. That is how and why you see a lot of empaths and healers who are sick and very overweight, and it is almost an epidemic because they don't know how to allow that energy to flow through, but not coming through their personal physical system, because you're mortal and you're not that strong. And it doesn't take much heavy or dense or contracted energy to have a negative impact on your physical body too. Is that helpful for you guys? Yes. And so Carissa's got a great question. I'm so glad this is helpful for you guys, by the way. So Carissa asked, do you use guides like Master Healer guides? Absolutely. You know, I always call them the team, right? And so I always call in the team before I do work. I always smudge the space before I do work. And ask the team to guide my hands. I believe in God, and so I do believe that I do have source energy, access to source energy through that channel, and I call upon that channel and give thanks for that channel, and absolutely recognize that I wouldn't be able to do any of the good work that I do if I didn't acknowledge and then allow those energies to flow. There's only so much you can control in a healing session, because at the end of the day, it's not you, it's the source. Do you know? And so you're really there to be a steward of all of that. Yeah, well, and so we'll talk about calling the team. Maybe we should do a little bonus session at some point. Would you guys like that? On like the prep, the energetic prep leading up to. I think we should probably do. Claire and I have talked about doing like a 30-minute session in March, in addition to your regular class, if you guys are down for that. Just kind of helping you get set up. Gridding, you know, underneath the massage table, making sure that you've smudged and cleared the space, calling in your healing guides and spirit team, and kind of more of the mechanics of that. So, okay, well, that's a universal yes. So we will do that. I'll do my best to keep it brief, but, you know, I think it would be really helpful for us just to go over the mechanics, because again, I think these basics, I know that they're sort of foundational and maybe not as exciting as the other work that we do, but at the same time, like going out into the world, these are things that are really helpful to know. All right, it's a deal. We will do that. Okay. The goal of all crystal healing sessions, from my perspective, by the way, this is finishing up my notes for you, is energetic integrity. I always say healing is not my goal for an energetic session, for a crystal healing session. Integrity is my goal. My goal is to, and a lot of times integrity looks like healing, okay? But my goal is to get your system back to functioning at 100% with all channels open, and so everything is integrated. That is my goal. And that can feel like healing, that can feel like release of pain, that can feel like getting your energy or your mojo back, or feeling like your sex drive is on fire. It can feel like all of that. But one of the reasons I don't use the word healing so much with my clients is I feel like that word has a lot of connotations, right? And I think if you have integrity of your physical systems, then you will feel healed, as opposed to looking for something very specific as an outcome. My client has arrived. I'm so excited. I hope you're excited too. Yay! Okay. There are 3 F's in energy work that I want you to be aware of. I only have about 5 to 10 more minutes of information for you before we get to the table. 3 F's I want you to be aware of. And those 3 F's are flow, force, and flex. Flow, force, and flex. Flow, force, and flex. Flow is the ideal state. Energy's moving, nothing's blocked. If you're in flow, you shouldn't have physical pain. Because again, physical pain is blocked energy, and we can move that, okay? Force, sometimes we exert force on our energy system. especially when we're trying to overcome pain without removing blockages. So a doctor will say, for example, oh, just push through it. You know what I mean? Your leg hurts, but just, exercise a little bit more, or just push through that pain, or, feel the burn or whatever. And so we can end up putting additional force over our energy field and through those channels that can actually cause further disruption to the field. And so you want to avoid force. You also want to avoid flex. Flex is, in energy terms, is consistently doing something or creating something or, experiencing something that is not in alignment with your energetic highest good. But we call that flex, okay? So let's just say that could be like consistently working out too much, pushing yourself beyond what's comfortable. Or that could be knowing that you only have a certain range of motion through your arms and legs that's comfortable for you, but at your work you have to constantly be pushing past that. Flex also creates contractions. So we don't want to force energy, and we don't want to consistently flex past what our body's natural range of motion and comfort zone is. Not consistently, not over months and years, because you can end up causing additional contractions in your system that then have to be undone. Yeah, literally bending over backward. Well, it's a good question. Desiree is asking, what about working in a job you don't like? We've all done that, right? And there is such a thing as energetic flex, which isn't physical. It's doing things you don't like, even if they're intellectual, or consistently having to be in relationship with someone that you don't like, or suppressing your own feelings and your own needs because your partner doesn't want to hear them, or you don't think you're important enough, and things like that. That's also flex. And over time, again, that can build up these sort of micro contractions that ultimately can lead to energy blockages. So what I always say is, try to the extent that you can to design your life to facilitate flow. Try to minimize, to the extent that you can, the things that you don't like to do, can't do, are difficult for you, and try to maximize the things that you enjoy, the experiences that are positive and that feed you and nourish you. All of us have to do things sometimes that we don't like, or be around people that we don't like. I mean, that's just kind of that's the human condition. But to the extent that you can, try to maximize flow, be in places that you enjoy, or at least that are not forcing or flexing, and try to minimize the others. Does that make sense? I know. Well, Barbara's like, oh dear, I'm super flex. I've had moments like that. I've had years like that. Like, there are some periods in our life when we get into places like that. But that's why it's like, over time, setting intentions, designing your life, creating ways. And if you can, like, have a chat with your employer and just say, I think I'm doing things right now that, like, I'm not good at and I don't really enjoy. And so I'm wondering if there's a way for me to do more of this other thing. I mean, I even had this conversation with Alexis, because Alexis has been with me forever. And there have been certain times where she's enjoyed some of the things she was doing, but like not some other things that she was doing. And we've tried to kind of move her roles and responsibilities around. She's like in flow. But it's about being able to have those conversations with people too, and say, I'd like to do more of this, less of that. Because energetically, that's going to improve the rest of your life when you're able to be in flow and be enjoying the things that you're doing. It's very important. And you're worth it. And you should know that. Okay. Single terminated versus double terminated wands. Let's chat, darlings. This is called a single terminated wand. It is 1 point. There are different types of single terminated wands. This one has a sphere at the bottom. This one is just sort of rounded at the bottom. These are both single terminated. They only have 1 point. And these are single terminated wands are for focusing energy, clarifying energy, directing energy from source to you, right? And also gathering energy. A wand like this gathers energy. This is the one I just sent to a lot of you this week. This one gathers energy at the sphere and directs it through the point. And remember, spheres, I'm going to teach you about spheres later this year, they gather energy in 360 degrees, right, from all directions and then direct it. So that's why a tool like this is so powerful. A double terminated point, which is this, has 2 points. Double terminated is like this. Now, here's the real difference between them. And again, I don't hear people say this very often. I'm hoping that people talk about this, but I want to make sure you know it as a student in my class. Single terminated points, like this one, this is technically single terminated. It looks double terminated, but it's single. Single terminated points grow vertically, just like this, on, I know it sounds funny, but on a mother cluster. Okay? They grow vertically, pointing up like this. And so they are masculine. Get it? They are very masculine. They grow in a vertical way. They direct energy. They focus energy. They clarify energy. They are vertical. They are masculine. I don't know how much more direct I can be about that. They're masculine. Double terminateds grow horizontally on the mother cluster. This is where this crystal was lifted off of her mother cluster. They actually grow horizontally. They're feminine. They send and receive. These just send. Does that make sense? Vertical, masculine, sending, receiving, clarifying, directing. Horizontal, feminine, sending and receiving, allowing, clearing. A feminine tool has, in some ways, more capacity to enhance energy flow than a masculine tool. But a masculine tool is going to be a more direct flow of energy. So sometimes more powerful, but in many ways more flexible. Does that make sense? That's really true. Yeah, you can. So you can make, Tandra's asking if you can make a double terminated wand by like taking a piece of wood and attaching 2 quartz points to the end. You certainly can. Wood is not conductive, so it might be better for you to use copper or a material in between the 2 quartz points is more conductive, but wood is certainly fine. And there are plenty of beautiful double terminated wands out there where artisans take, you know, a center piece and then attach 2 points to it. That's a great question. Is a crystal ruined if a point breaks? No, but it will diminish the flow of the energy. It's true. You want to protect your points. That's why when we send you things, it probably looks really ugly, but we put this like clay stuff on it a lot of times on the points of your crystal so that when you get it, it's not chipped, because nobody wants a chipped tip. It's not what you're looking for. Now a Vogel, which I'm going to be teaching you about next month when we talk about energetic extraction. Well, a Vogel is faceted all the way around. So what a Vogel does, and I've seen Vogels work in medicine space. It's absolutely intricately beautiful what they do. They make what we call a coil of energy. They almost make a little tiny tube torus. They make this little tight coil of energy because of the facets all the way around. This is one of the ones that's on the website, by the way. If you don't have a Vogel, we had these made. These are beautiful tricolor aura Vogels that are for heart, sacral, and solar plexus chakras, but I don't think there's a lot of these, but this is a Vogel. And so I'll teach you about the number of facets on the sides and how it coils the energy during our March class. I'm glad you're excited about that. But I will tell you, they're double terminated wands. So they send and receive, but then they have this other like party bonus of being able to extract energy as well, and that's why we work with Vogels. No, so, and I mentioned this earlier too, it doesn't matter if your quartz point is carved or natural, because at the end of the day, they function the same way. Some people would say this is a more powerful double term because nobody's ever touched it. This was out of the ground, natural double term. I will tell you, in my experience, it is no more powerful than any of the other tools that are sitting up here. It does the same thing. So whether it's carved by a human or not is okay. What else did I want to tell you? So single is vertical and masculine, double is horizontal and feminine. And then I briefly want to share with you one more thing about the chakras. And then we'll move over and I can get started with Patty. Okay, each one of your 7 chakras, I want to share with you, develops at a different age. And when it's healed, each one of them brings you a different gift. Are you ready? And so this is something that I think a lot of you will benefit from, especially as you start to work more with your chakras, learn more about your chakras. So your root chakra, which is at the base of your spine, at the very bottom of your sushumna, your central column, develops between the ages of 0 and 5. Okay? It's your chakra of safety and connection and feeling at home. Okay? And when it's healed, what it returns to you is the gift of innocence. If you think about it, it's really true. As a child, that's your gift, is you feel innocent. And if you have trauma between the ages of 0 and 5, it takes your innocence, doesn't it? And so when you heal that root chakra and you start to feel safe in your body again, you get that gift of innocence back. When we heal the sacral chakra, which develops between the ages of 5 and around 13, puberty, when you heal that, you get the gift of creativity back. So if you feel creatively blocked, or like you don't have inspiration, or you have writer's block, you probably have a sacral chakra block, and then when we clear that, we get the gift of creativity back. Your solar plexus chakra, which develops during adolescence between the ages of 14 and 18, when that is disrupted, you lose your sense of power and place. And so when you heal your solar plexus chakra, you get the gift of inner peace, because you're not trying to prove anything to anybody else, right? Your heart chakra, which really develops between the ages of 18 and 25, when you have your first interpersonal and romantic relationships for most people. If your heart chakra is wounded, then you don't feel secure, right? You don't feel secure in relationships, you don't feel secure in your own heart. And so when you heal your heart chakra, you get the gift of security. Your throat chakra, which develops between the ages of 25 and 35, when you find your authentic voice and start to speak your truth in the world as an adult. When your throat chakra gets wounded, you don't feel equal to others. You feel like you have less of a say in things, or you don't know what you really want in life. And so when your throat chakra heals, you get the gift of equality with others. Your third eye, which develops primarily between the ages of 35 and 55, your intuition gets the strongest in that 20-year window. Your third eye, interestingly enough, when that gets healed and blockages are cleared, you get the gift of forgiveness. Because at the third eye, what a lot of us do is we focus on our own problems and our own entanglements and our own, this person did this to me and that person did that to me, and you hang on to things. When you heal the third eye and open and really begin to see with your seeing eye, your real eye, you develop the gift of forgiveness for others and how they've hurt you in your life. And then your crown chakra, which really flowers after the age of 55. That's when you really start to feel your divine connection to source energy, because the rest of you is all developed. When you heal that, you get the gift of feeling connected to your creator. And I think that's really the work, at least I'm seeing it in my life as I get close to 50 years old, really starting to feel that that's the big work of the next chunk of my life, is really cultivating that relationship with my source. Interesting, right? So when we're done tonight, the 7 oil blend that I made for you called Sushumna, that's on sagegoddess.com. And don't forget, everybody who's here tonight gets 20% off, but you only get to use it one time. Your code when we're done is Crystal Masters for 20% off. There's Elemi for the crown chakra, Cypress for the third eye, Geranium for the throat chakra, Blue Yarrow for the heart chakra, such a powerful heart healer, Fennel for the solar plexus, which is actually really good for IBS, Narcissus Absolute for the sacral chakra, and then black pepper for your root chakra. And I did a little pure essential oil dram, and you're going to see me anoint Patty at her chakras tonight. It's a really powerful blend, again, for using aromatherapy to clear those blockages. Whoop whoop. Oh yeah. Oh, you sure can, Susan, use a single charm to clear your tendinitis. Let's talk about how we move some energy right now. I'm going to take you over to the table. You ready for some crystal healing? Patty's ready. I'm ready. Okay. I just go, right?
You just go.
Okay.
Hi, everybody. We're changing cameras.
Come on up. You're going to lay right here. And then this, you can put this under your knees so that you feel a little more comfortable. How do you feel temperature-wise, Patty? Are you comfy?
I feel good.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. So when we start, I'm gonna ask you some questions.
Okay.
Is that okay? Thank you for doing this, by the way.
Thank you for inviting me.
You're so welcome. I'm happy to work on you. Are we ready? Okay. So I'm gonna ask Patty. Hi, everybody. Isn't this fun to be like up and around? It's so exciting. I'm going to ask Patty some of the questions that are on your intake sheet so you get a sense of how you engage with your client. And again, I could have had you answer these before you came, but since we're doing this in this way, I'm going to ask you just these questions briefly now. So what would be your goal for our work together? Is there anything in particular that you any place where you feel blocked or have any pain?
I would just like to be more clear-minded.
Clear-minded.
Yes.
I like that. Okay. Have you had a crystal healing session before?
No.
That's exciting. Have you experienced any physical or emotional challenges in the last 12 months?
Yes.
Okay. Anything in particular that's relevant to your desire for clarity?
Knowing that I'm probably going to have a fourth child, that's a little challenging.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which is awesome too.
Yes. it
Yes.
is.
Okay. So on a scale of 1 to 10, so 1 is it feels kind of blocked, and 10 is you feel it's really open. Okay. Your root chakra. And so if it's blocked, you might feel fear or anxiety, or if you have no fear or anxiety, it's probably really clear. How do you feel?
Anxiety.
Anxiety? Okay, so we might have a blockage there. Sacral chakra, if that's blocked, you might feel depressed or feel like you don't have a lot of energy. How do you
Not a
feel
lot of
there?
energy.
Okay. Solar plexus, if that's blocked, it could be digestive issues, as an example. So do you feel like it's clear through your tummy, or do you feel like it might be a blockage there?
On that part, I think it's probably clear.
Probably
But,
clear?
Yeah.
Okay. Heart chakra, if that's blocked, it might feel like sadness or grief, or it could actually be physical heart challenges.
No, I haven't done this.
Okay. Throat chakra, if that's blocked, it might feel like difficulty communicating, or it could be a thyroid issue.
Yeah, difficult communicating.
Okay. Third eye, if that's blocked, you might feel like your intuition isn't as strong as you'd like it to be, or you can't focus, or you're getting headaches.
Can't focus and intuition.
Okay. And then your crown chakra, a blockage there might feel like feeling disconnected from other people or from God or your spiritual path.
From spiritual path.
Okay.
Connected.
Okay. So that gives you, when you ask those questions, part of the reasons why the intake process is so important is, especially if you're working with a client that you don't have a long-term existing relationship with, it gives you kind of a sense of the field that you're working in, you know, so that you're not walking into your time with this client sort of blind. And then if you allow yourself to drop in and really connect, you'll start to feel the energy moving, and your intuition will kick in, and you'll start to feel more of those connections. Now, I will say, and we'll talk about this more in the prep session because we already smudged the room and cleared everything. In a longer crystal healing session, I would be smudging her. I would be walking around the table with selenite, which I already did. So we'll go back and do all of those early steps when we do our prep session later on.
We had a little bit of a few people saying that your hair is touching the
Oh.
mic, so I just wanted to
Okay.
make sure that it was.
No hair.
There we go.
Okay, let me know if that's better. My hair naturally falls in front of me, but if you guys can't hear me, let me know. Okay, so one of the first things I like to do, I want you to remember everything I taught you just now. Okay, so here is Patty, she's on the table. She's a tube Taurus, right? She has her hands, her feet, and Patty, if you wouldn't mind laying your arms down next to you with your palms up, that's a perfect position. And again, just constantly checking in on her temperature, making sure that she's comfortable. One of the things I like to do first is take a selenite wand like this. And you can use your fancy wand if you want, but you can even just use a very small selenite wand of any type. And I want you to remember always working from head to toe in general, unless, again, you're trying to release energy, which we might do later more specifically. But in general, everything that you're going to do in your crystal healing work works from head to toe. So I'm going to begin at the edge of her energy field, which is about 12 inches above her head. That's where that tube Taurus, that's where that spin extends to. So I'm going to bring the selenite wand just below where that field begins and extend it over to the bottom of her feet. And you can bring it back. And what I like to do is just really make sure that you surround that entire toroidal field with that selenite. This is just a really beautiful clearing of the energy, and you can do that as many times as you feel like. If I wasn't sort of bound by the camera, I would actually move all the way around the table to really make sure that I have cleared her field. And when your intuition tells you that the field is clear, it is. There's no specific number of times you have to do that. It's really about how you feel and connecting to her energy. Then I like to incorporate sound just to represent the beginning of the work that we're doing together. So these are Tingsha's little bells. Some of you may have these from our ceremony in the fall that we did. So you want to bring it to the top of her head. Once over the solar plexus. And it's a nice touch too, just to strike them over the hands. Again, recognizing that that is where most of the energy is flowing. So before I begin working on anyone's energy with crystals, I like to give my clients something to hold in their hands. And my two favorite tools, one of them you already have. Do you remember these little diamonds that I gave you, these little extractor diamonds last month? If you got your Crystal Masters tools, you have a pair of these. And you can give these to your client and ask them to hold them between their thumb and their forefinger, which, guess what, activates a meridian line. So this is why I gave these to you. You're going to see over the year that your tools sort of build and develop, and you'll learn more and more techniques to incorporate them into your practice. My other favorite tool to give to a client, and I'm going to give these to Patty, is to give them a pair of small spheres. I like to work with something that is under 2 inches in size, so it's comfortable to hold. These are little sapphire spheres, which I love, and I'm incorporating them for Patty because of her desire for clarity and also to enhance her intuition. Sapphire is one of the best stones for that. So Patty, I'm going to place these in your hands and just ask that you close your hands around them and hold them while we work. Okay. And then another tip, just to share this with you too, one of the ways that you can incorporate additional tools into your practice as a crystal healer, especially if you're working with a single terminated wand, is if you have a healing balm or a healing lotion that you like let's say that Patty was having pain in her arm. One of the things you can do is roll the rounded edge of the single term into your balm or into your lotion and actually begin to work that into the skin. It feels really good. It brings the sensual sort of scent element into the work that you're doing and also helps to move the energy. And so when you're working with a wand like this, you can incorporate balms and lotions into your practice. For today's session, because we're doing some chakra alignment, I've got the blend that I made earlier today called Sushumna. And I like to take just a little bit in the palm of my hand. Rub between your hands. Take a deep inhale to center yourself and balance and align your own chakras. And then bring it up to your client. And just place your hands not too close to their face and ask them to take 3 deep breaths. And it's a beautiful moment of centering. It brings the energy into the space, and scent instantly soothes and relaxes clients too. I find that everybody enjoys working with aromatherapy, especially when they're medicinal oils that you've blended or incorporated with a lot of intention. And then you can work your hands through the energy field, extending the energies of these particular oils. And if you have your client's feet bare, it's also nice to hold their feet so that the oils make contact with their feet as well. Okay. Now, this is the tool that you received this month. And we heard Patty talk about some of the concerns that she has and the energies that she would like to experience or to clear a little bit. Sounds like she may have a blockage around the third eye area. And so one of the things I like to do, again, just to begin, before you do any work in a particular chakra, bring your wand all the way to the edge of that energetic field, that tube torus, and take it all the way down beneath the feet and all the way back. You're introducing the energy of your tool into her field. And then bringing it back. And then one of the things you want to think about is which chakra you want to begin with. Now, my universal strategy for doing this, for discerning where to begin in the body, which was one of your questions, your non-writing hand is your guide. So I write with my right hand, so my left hand is always my guide. And so what I do is I move my left hand, it's already on fire, over all 7 of her chakras, and where it is the warmest, that's where I'm to begin. So I'm over your crown, and I like to talk my client or my friend or my family member through it so they kind of know what you're doing. Some crystal healers who have worked on me are silent the whole time, which is okay, but I think it's also good just to get people involved in the process. And then over the third eye. So right now it's warmest over the crown, but it's also very warm over the third eye as well. If it helps to heighten your senses, you can close your eyes while you do this, which will help you sense the other energies more powerfully over the throat, over the heart. And so now it's getting cold, which is a really good guide about where I need to begin and where I need to focus my work. Over the sacral. And then over the root. And it's cold at the root. So what that tells me is it's primarily the upper chakras, which is what she self-reported as well. And so I'm going to begin at her third eye chakra. And what you want to do is you want to bring one point of the wand. I like to do it about 2 inches above the chakra, and you want to make sure it's pointing directly up. And then what I want you to do is visualize the energy line that extends from her third eye out into her energy field. And bring your full attention and focus to that energy line. And I want you to imagine what that channel looks like. Try to visualize the third eye chakra itself, which is a spinning disc of indigo light. If you sense that it's not spinning, if you sense that it's dull in color, sometimes you can visualize. If you're clairvoyant, you're going to be able to see that chakra. If you're clairsentient, which means you're clear feeling or sensing, then you're going to be able to sense if there's a blockage. But I'm trying to visualize that line of energy that extends from her third eye out into her field. And then with intention and incorporating the energy of the crystal, really what you're doing is opening a line of energy to flow through that crystal. I want you to visualize widening that channel. And again, quartz is one of the most powerful minerals that you can use to expand a channel or a meridian, because it naturally has a frequency that is expansive. And then I'm going to bring the point over to her crown chakra, which was the other chakra that felt like it needed some attention first. And again, imagining that your double terminated, because it's sending and receiving energy, is sending energy out through those networks, those meridians, and receiving energy back through into her system. And what I'm doing energetically and mentally is focusing all of my intention and attention on her energy field, expanding the channel, opening that crown chakra, clearing any energy blockages, creating a clear open channel through those meridians. And I can already sense an opening. And again, if you're sentient, you're going to sense it. If you're voyant, you're going to see it. If you're audient, clairaudient, you might hear messages from her spirit guides coming through. And one of the things I'm sensing for you, Patty, is that there has been some fear in the past around your intuition. That's what I'm sensing. And so sometimes when you've had moments of fear, have you ever had a moment where you were afraid of it or didn't trust it in some way? Mm-hmm. When that happens, there can be a very subconscious closing down of that chakra, thinking that maybe that will keep you safe, right? And so it's a very natural, normal thing. And then when we get older, we realize the benefit of having an open third eye, and so we want to reopen that chakra. And so doing work like this and allowing the crystal to create this channel will help you open it and release that fear too. And then next month, when we do the extraction, we could actually go in and see if there's an energetic blockage there that we could remove and send through the vortex and actually release from her personal energetic field. Right now, with a double term, we're just sending and receiving energy. We're just creating a pathway for data. We're just opening. And then next month, we can go through and clear and release. So how are you feeling, Patty? Do you sense the energy moving through?
Mm-hmm.
It might feel warm or a little bit tingly. And if you want to, you can actually make contact with the crystal toward your client, physically touching. But I like to work with the crystals above the body, remembering that energy lines are flowing 12 inches outside of the physical body. So there really isn't a need to make physical contact with the crystals because the crystals are working on their own without that contact. Now, when I hold the wand in my left hand, this is the receiving hand. So if I want to receive information about Patty and how best to help her, I am going to put the wand in my left hand for that. So I'm going to be quiet for just a minute just to receive any messages about her third eye. And I'm just receiving more of that, letting go of fear, trusting that your intuition is accurate. And reminding there's like little girl energy around it, reminding that your little girl self that it's safe to trust, safe to open, safe to receive that information. Are you very intuitive about your children?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's one way to learn to trust it, because your maternal intuition is such a gift and that's easy to trust, and then extending that trust out to the rest of your intuition as well. And then when I want to send energy to her, that's through my right hand. And so I'm sending through that wand now, through that channel, I'm sending energies of releasing fear, letting go, trusting, surrendering, and asking my guides to pour those energies through this wand, opening this channel and sending her that healing. Again, it's not coming from my arm, it's not coming from my energy field. It is a fountain of energy that's flowing through from source through this tool to her, and I'm just here as a conduit for that. And then bring the wand back to the top of the head. Always, this is the practice I return to, bringing the wand all the way through the field, just completing the cycle, grounding the circuit really is what it is, connecting the energy that we just pulled through to the rest of her field. And you can do that again as many times as you feel it's necessary. And so that is a very basic representation of how to work with a single or double terminated wand. Now, a single terminated wand is one that I usually like to, I think I'll use this one, that I usually like to work with in a more physical way on the body, making contact. And so, Patty, I'm actually going to physically touch you with this wand. So I'm going to bring this over to your third eye. And then you can listen for guidance. Again, if we're trying to call in trusting and receiving, we're going to call those energies in over her third eye, pulling that energy in the direction of her heart space. So calling in the ability to trust, to receive, to allow your intuition to open, to serve you, to serve your family and your children. And then when we want to release energy, releasing fear, we want to pull away from the heart space. And this is the same thing I would do if she was having a headache, right? I would be working the energies over her third eye, rolling away from the heart. And then again, carrying the tool all the way through the field. Because energies that heal one part of this intricate system heal all parts of the system. So it's about making that connection. How do you feel? That's good for a brief sort of mini crystal healing session, but it gives you a good sense of the difference between the two tools. And also shows you the difference between making physical body contact, which, like I said, I like to do with a single terminated wand, it's sort of the rounded end, versus a double terminated wand, which I tend to work with above the body. How are we doing on time, everybody? Okay, cool. Are there any questions in the feed that I can respond to while I'm here? Okay. Can you guys see me? That's a really good question. I don't know that I know the answer to that, or that anybody would really know the answer to that. You can have an overactive chakra. You know, people who have a really intense sex drive, for example, tend to have an overactive sacral chakra. People who have sometimes too much anger, or sort of an anger management problem, sometimes will have an overactive solar plexus. Too much power, too much will, too much strength, and they don't know how to manage that. And so you can have overactive chakras. With crystals, you're usually not going to overactivate. Crystals are sort of self-regulating mechanisms. They have, again, one of the beautiful things for me about energy work, but also one of the struggles that I've had, candidly, especially as someone who, I'm a researcher, I have a PhD, I was trained in the scientific method. Like I was always trained that if something was real, you could see it, you'd have data, you could prove it. And so coming into the world of energy medicine has been this process of learning to trust that these tools have an intelligence, that she has an intelligence, right? Something brought her here. Something led her to say, yes, I would like to work on this today. Something led me to teach this class. Now we're here together. I mean, it's not an accident, right? And so I think the better part of this work for me is trusting that the crystals arrive to you at the time that you need them. And I think for the most part, they work to calibrate, but I haven't really seen people developing anger issues because they've got too much carnelian, for example, or developing a sex addiction because they brought in all this orange calcite, now it's out of control. I think it's more about regulating and creating balance in a system. And I think the crystals have this self-regulating sort of capacity, which is hard to prove in a way, but it's something that you can sense, and it's something I've had to learn to trust in the process of doing this work over time too. It's a great question. Yes, so you can do all of this on yourself. Now, I mean, it's harder, right, to lay down and pull the crystal all the way through your energy field, but you can. You can pull your selenite wand all the way through, and then it's the same exact process over the third eye, over the heart chakra. And again, just imagining that beam of light, because again, this is sending and receiving. This is a transmitter. And so versus this, which is gathering energy, but it's not receiving, it's purely sending. I mean, it's gathering, but it's not a universal directing flow of energy. This is like directing traffic. This one is about setting an intention for the energy that you accumulate here and then directing it in one direction, if that makes sense. So this one is gathering, but it's not sort of conducting, and there's a different energy to it. This one almost feels more one-dimensional, and this one feels more three-dimensional. And I would say this is a more powerful tool in some ways, especially if you're trying to really work with that toroidal sort of flow, that 3D donut, if you're trying to get into that flow of energy and move energy. This one's really good if you're trying to direct energy toward a particular spot. And especially if you can infuse your intention or add medicine to this, like I just did with the balm, and really work that into the skin, this can become more of a body work tool as opposed to an energetic tool, if that makes sense. Those are great questions. Any other questions before I can also go back to my desk if you think that would be better for me to, because I want to show them some additional tools before we finish up. Yeah. So I want to thank Patty for volunteering. So when we're done with our work, one of the things I like to do, and again, we'll talk more and we'll be doing more crystal healing sessions as we come through our work for the rest of the year. I like to do one more sweep of the field with selenite just to go through and clear, and bringing it all the way around. imagining that donut of energy as you do it. And by the way, this is really good for kids, especially if you have kids who have nervousness or anxiety. Even just, popping them on a rug and moving the selenite through their field to clear them is really helpful, will calm them, will ease anxiety. And then I can ask you to offer back the spheres. Thank you. Well, they're nice and warm from being in Patty's hands. That's really nice. And then just a nice touch to do at the end, just to, again, connect them with the scent, is to place the oil on your hands one more time, just to seal the experience. And bring it up, and then just 3 deep breaths there. And sweep the field. Remember that your hands are like little glue sticks. They're attaching to that energy. They're bringing the molecules of these plant medicines through that energy. And so remembering that your hands are very powerful magical tools as well. And then for the final sort of task for me for a crystal healing session is to sweep the field with my hand one more time and see if I sense a difference. This is always the test for me, because your client will tell you if they feel different or if they enjoyed the experience, but my hand is always a really accurate gauge. And I will tell you, it's not on fire the way it was when I first moved through your field. Like, my hand felt like there was a little heater on it. And it's still warm, but it feels exactly like her lower chakras did, which were not moving at that same frequency. Now I'm sensing the most heat through her throat chakra, which she talked about expressive and communicative challenges that she was facing. So in a subsequent session, that might be something that we do to move some of the energy through here. And you could even think about incorporating some throat chakra stones, maybe laying on a piece of chrysocolla or Larimar over her throat chakra while you do the work, or angelite, celestite, or beautiful throat chakra options. And then sensing her heart, which feels clear. Solar plexus and sacral, and through the root. Feels much better. So you can also become a good sense of how and whether energy is moving through. And that is something you can absolutely do for yourself. I mean, do it right now. It's a really fun, quick exercise for you to gauge. And remember to use your non-writing hand, so over your crown. My upper chakras are always fine. It's, downtown. As with most empaths, we usually have lower chakra challenges. All I do is express, so my throat chakra is usually pretty good. And the heart and solar plexus actually feels pretty good. But I'm in a pretty good place in my life right now. I don't really have a lot of specific challenges and issues that I'm working through. But I did have to work a lot of the energy through this shoulder situation over the last couple of months. But it's, for me to be able to lift my arm, I literally couldn't lift my arm for about 6 months. So it's really amazing what you can do when you release some of the energy and then move the energy back through once you've cleared whatever the blockage is. It has a physical impact that's really, really, really profound. So thank you, Patty, for letting me work on you today. You're so welcome. Yeah, you can stay here if you want. It's nice to put a pillow under their knees too, so that they feel more comfortable when they're on the table, because what can happen if you don't do that is it puts a lot of pressure on the lower back, and you don't want your client who's just been through a crystal healing session to go home with back pain because you didn't offer them the proper support. So a pillow under the knees is always a nice touch, especially if you're going to have them on the table for more than about 15 or 20 minutes or so. So thanks, you guys. I'll head back to the table. Thank you, Patty. What a pleasure. Yeah, you're so welcome. Thank you. How are you feeling? Did you have fun?
Before Patty leaves, they're very interested to hear how you feel.
Oh, yeah.
They're really good. I feel a little kind of walking in the
Will you come over here for a second? They probably would love to see you. I'm going to put Patty on camera. If you have any questions of her, I'm sure she
Hello,
would love to
everybody.
answer you. Yeah, so anything else? You feel a little lightheaded.
Yes, I feel a little lightheaded. It's like walking, kind of like.
Uh,
So it's a little different.
Do you feel anything through those upper chakras? Did you feel any tingling or a difference in temperature?
Yes, I felt the energy, definitely.
Yeah.
I felt the tingling in my feet when you were going with the wand down my feet.
Oh,
in
interesting.
my head, yes. I felt that,
That's interesting.
yes. It felt really good, though.
I'm really
Really
glad.
good.
I'm really
Thank
glad
you.
you liked it. Yeah. Well, and it's
Thank you,
interesting too because sometimes you can even see a clarity in the eyes, which I see.
I did see the clarity in my eyes.
Yeah.
When I looked up at you, I was seeing clear. Like,
It's different.
yes, it was.
And the eyes, remember, are the soul, right? So when you are healing the soul, we love you, Patty. When you're doing soul work, one of the main things you'll notice, and it's really funny because people have said this to me. They've been watching videos of me for the past 9 years. My eyes have become much clearer. And people have regularly commented about that to me after doing all the work that I've been doing all these years. The eyes, when your eyes get clearer, it's one of the main signs that you've moved a lot of energy blockages. And I was looking directly in her eyes before we started, and it's like a different person looking back at me. And that's only, maybe a 15-minute. Is that what we did? Something like that. It's a very brief session. Okay. Let me see if I can look at your questions really quickly, too. If your client is wearing crystals, should they remove them for the session? I don't think so. I really don't. I tend to not wear as much jewelry when I'm doing a crystal healing session because I don't want my own personal pieces, which have such a strong vibration, especially the stuff I wear all the time. It's like it has a relationship with me. I don't want the vibrations of my jewelry to interfere with the work that I'm doing. So I tend to kind of get naked a little bit, jewelry-wise, before I do a session. That's a great question. Yeah, and it's interesting, right? The eyes. And notice your eyes, too. Look at pictures as you go through your spiritual transformation process. Now you're going to go back through your photos and check it out, but you really should. The eyes get clearer. It's one of the signs of healing. Denise takes her Fitbit off, right? So now, a full session for me has to be an hour because that includes the intake with the client, having the conversation with them, getting grounded, having them feel comfortable. I will usually physically smudge them, which when we do our March bonus session, I will show you, which means arms out, you stand like a T, and I go in front of you, over your arms, and then I go behind you and down over you and across. So I do a full body smudge for the client before they get on the table. And then I usually do a centering prayer and set my intention for the session and ask them if they would like to set an intention for the session. And then you get into the work of the session, which usually involves multiple chakras. She may have also said, my shoulder's also been bothering me. Could we do a little work there? Or especially as you get to know your client, like, if we have time, can you work on my heart? Or, God, I've been having these migraines. Do you think you could get in there? Kind of thing. So usually it takes at least that long. And then I like to seal the space, say a closing prayer, just a centering prayer to complete our time together, and then spend a few minutes helping them get back in their body because they usually do feel quite lightheaded afterward. And so the entire process for me has to be a minimum of an hour. And when you're doing magical work, I will tell you, an hour feels like 15 minutes. So you have to really be mindful of the time. Because for me, I end up dropping into a deeper state of awareness, into an alpha state awareness. And so when you're dropping into these different states, you have to also allow for that. And sometimes they even drop into sort of a deeper, like a theta state. And you can too. And as a crystal healer, you can really drop in and you'll lose track of time. And so it's really important for you to maintain your consciousness and also be aware of the time boundaries too, because time can really get away from you when you're doing this work for sure. Yeah. So so Tina, I do work with, like I said, spirit guardians, what I call the team, and so part of the setting of the intention and the opening prayer, that kind of centering prayer that I do, is an invitation to them to come and join the session. And like I said, all of that stuff I did today before we joined because I knew we'd be short on time. But when I do the prep session for you in March, the little bonus class, I'm going to go through all the intro stages and all the finishing stages without the body work. So you can kind of see what the setup and prep looks like, and then what the takedown and the closing of that looks like too. If you have numbness in a part of your leg, that's interesting. It's an energy blockage for sure, right? And that is more central nervous system issue, which is, if you think about it, your CNS, your central nervous system, is the electrical box, right? And so that usually numbness is more of a neurological issue, a nerve issue, but it still is an energy blockage nonetheless. And so how you respond to it in terms of crystal healing in that modality is pretty much the same. Your questions are so fantastic. I'm so grateful for them, by the way. Okay, so I know we only have 3 minutes left. I think tonight went by really, really quickly. I hope you enjoyed it. Yeah, so I do, and that's a great question too. And Ruth, like I said, when we do the bonus class, I will show you, I do a quick smudging of myself afterward, and then I ground my energy. And there's certain stones I like to use for that. I actually have my almandine garnets over there because almandine garnet is the most gentle way to ground your energy when you're done. And then I also try to make sure I get out barefoot into nature after I do a healing session. And I also try to eat afterward, which is another way of grounding my energy as well. Absolutely. Okay, so let me tell you about some different tools that you may want to consider to add to your collection. And like I said, everything's 20% off for you guys, but it's only a one-time coupon in case there are tools that you do want to collect. The 7 chakra blend that I made just for Crystal Masters is at sagegoddess.com. Your code is Crystal Masters, but that's only for one order and it's 20% off. And so you have until midnight tomorrow night, I think, to use that code. So enjoy. If you don't need any tools, don't shop. This is really just for those of you who are like, I think I do want to grab a new wand. We have copper wands for you, which is something that we don't often have. And again, I would consider this single terminated. It's a wand that you can use to move energy through the system. So if you don't have a lot of copper in your collection, this is highly conductive, really good for moving energy. These are on sagegoddess.com. The little spheres that I was showing you, I gave her little sapphires, but we have little tiger's eye, we have little sunstone, we have little titanium quartz. This is for strength and endurance. This is all sacral solar plexus, power, leadership. And then this is protection and psychic development. So it actually may have been more powerful to give her tiger's eye to hold. These are aura tiger's eye instead of the sapphire. So if you don't have small spheres, that might be something good to add to your collection. We have moonstone double terminated wands also. We have 3 different sizes of these. We have sex wands. This is all sacral chakra. This is orange calcite, and again, single terminated. Really helps to do your work on your sacral chakra. And by the way, if you want to work with that love symbol, I will show you how to do that really quickly as a way of concluding our session tonight. So the copper wands and everything, my team is linking you right now in the feed to the section where all those tools are. We've put them all together so that they're kind of in an easy place for you to find. We don't have a lot of any of the tools I'm showing you, so please do not feel pressured. This is really just if you're like, I think I do need a single term, or I think I would like to incorporate the essential oils. We wanted to offer you a special discount to do that. So Crystal Masters is your code. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to draw the symbol. This is the love symbol that's on your wand, right? Okay. One more time so you can see. So you begin at the center point and you draw a heart, just like that. Then you come down, you draw a triangle, and then you go up through the center of the heart. And that's how you make that symbol. Can you see it? I know with the light it's kind of tricky to see that. But if you have your wand, you saw it. So again, you draw the heart, then you come down, draw the triangle, and then the line up through. And with these symbols, the intention is to make one continuous line. So you don't lift your wand up off the body. So a heart, and again, this is the symbol of love that I'm teaching you. And so if you're doing solar plexus work, you could draw the symbol here. If you're doing sacral work, you can get down there and draw it on your bits and pieces. If you feel like you have a blockage anywhere else around love, anywhere you want to draw it, you can just draw your symbol and it activates the energy of love. And that's one more kind of tool that you can incorporate into your work with clients or the work that you do on your own. So the direction doesn't matter as much if you want to reverse it. I think what I was told when I channeled these symbols was the most important thing was to do one continuous line. So not to lift the tool. Once you start to draw your heart and pull it down to the triangle and back up, let me show you that again. So you draw your heart down to the triangle and line up through the heart. And if you think about it, you're pulling energy up with that symbol, right? And so you're pulling energy toward the heart. And it's very, very healing. It was the most magical journey I've ever had when I channeled those symbols. And I was being shown the symbols like they were on a screen, and I had a notebook next to me, and I was just drawing what I was being shown. And when I came out of Journey, I had these 12 symbols. It was absolutely incredible. So I feel like they were gifts to me, and it's kind of a cool thing to pass them along to you now as gifts to you. We are doing flash tattoos of the symbols. We are. It's going to take us a little while. But we are working on flash tattoos of the symbols because I want them. We're going to do a line of them so you can have like a line of them down your arm or around your wrist, because the 12 of them really create kind of a sacred circle. So if you want to wear them, you'll be able to have them at some point. It's a great question. So Rachel's asking, what's the benefit of using a copper wand, something like this, as opposed to quartz? So copper obviously is a metal, but it's highly conductive of energy. It's more conductive than quartz. And so in terms of moving energy, especially really stuck stored energy, I actually prefer copper to quartz. The problem is I've never seen a sharp double terminated copper wand. They're usually rounded like this. And so in terms of sending and receiving, transmitting energy, a double term like this is a more powerful tool. But for moving energy and creating circulation, and especially when you're trying to move past something that's really stuck and stored, copper can be really powerful. So what I like to do is use both. You know what I mean? Sort of more is more. On my table back here, this is my crystal healing table that with all of my tools for when I do sessions, chair sessions with people. I have copper Merkabas there. And so I have clients hold those copper Merkabas in their hands, and they literally say they feel like they're flying away during those sessions. So, and I think it's partly the chair and partly probably the copper Merkabas too. Yeah, so every month has a symbol. So if you want to go back and check, and we can also go through them again in Soul Shift. I can have Team SG post them for you. The symbols I teach in Soul Shift, but I incorporated the love symbol into Crystal Masters this month because I thought it'd be another additional powerful tool for you to open your heart to love, which is our theme for this month. Yeah, Scout says that she has people have the same experience when they're holding those copper Merkabas. They're really cool. I don't think we have any, so sorry to be a tease. But maybe you can find them. Maybe you can find them elsewhere online. We had them eons ago, and I don't think we have anymore. But if you ever do find them, it's such a cool tool to have. It's definitely something that I would recommend adding to your collection. And keep in mind, you don't have to get all the tools right at once. I have a nice collection of crystals, but I've been collecting since I was 15. And I don't collect a lot of crystals at once. I really feel into it and try to use my judgment and my discernment when I'm collecting crystals. And so enjoy the process of adding a wand here or an essential oil there or a sphere that really speaks to you. Because then 10, 20 years from now, you're really going to feel like you have this amazing collection at your fingertips. And buying like fewer things over time allows you to develop a relationship with those tools too, which I think ultimately will lead to you using them more frequently. And that's the goal. It really is for them to be used. So we hopefully will have more single term wands. We are working on it. It's always this process of trying to discern which tools need to be brought through and finding beautiful places to have them made for you. So we're working on a couple things too at Sage Goddess. So anyway, thank you so much for being here. I hope you enjoyed our second Crystal Masters session on single and double terminated wands, and also understanding the energetics of the human energy field, how energy moves through that tube torus and creates this incredibly dynamic ebb and flow of energy that connects you not only to other people around you, but connects you to the entire planet. The planet has its own toroidal field. And so remember, it's always more complicated than we can see, sense, and feel, and crystals are really important allies to help us to connect. So it was wonderful to see you. Session 3, by the way, if you're in Soul Shift, is this Friday, Shamanic Journey, as we always do. We're journeying with Freya and Mary Magdalene on Friday, and we are shedding old ideas about what it means to be a woman, what it means to be a partner, what it means to be a priestess, and calling in more divine creativity and expression. And so it's going to be a really powerful, juicy journey on Friday. And you have until midnight tomorrow night to use your code crystalmasters at sagegoddess.com for 20% off if you would like. There is a way to purchase past classes. I don't know how to do that.
They're all on our website. If they go to sagegoddess.com, they can find it under online classes.
Okay, sagegoddess.com under online classes, you can go back and purchase previous sessions. And thank you, Alexis, because I honestly didn't know how to do that. I wasn't going to be able to guide you well. All right, you guys, thank you so much. Have a great rest of your night. We will look forward to seeing you very, very soon. It was great to have you here. See you soon.